Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be doing my April wrap-up. Finally! I want to say I'm so sorry I took a long break, didn't make any videos. I have an excuse. You ready? I tried to film one video and it didn't go well and I refilmed it 3 times. And it's still not right, so I was working on some videos. It was just not good. I'm not gonna give you some crappy quality things, okay? Okay. But yeah, April. Oh, what an exciting month. This is not only an April wrap-up, this is also O.W.L.s Magical Readathon wrap-up. This month, I read 7 books. This is probably the most books in a month that I read in my, entire life, so... wow. So yeah, let's just talk about them. The first book that I've completed this month was The Shining by Stephen King. This was an incredible book. I give it 5 stars. It's so worth reading, you guys. I was able to go into this book not being spoiled too much. Everything I knew is like a crazy guy with an axe. That meme that's going everywhere. This meme. That's the only thing that I knew about this story, but I was finally so glad that I read the book, that I watched the movie. I didn't like the movie that much, by the way, but I adored the book. I feel like it was really solid, really great. Stephen King can write really realistic horror. I really like in Stephen King's writing that he is able to connect both like some magical or paranormal element that's spooky. I don't know what's going on. Is it a curse? If something's haunted? Is it just like a bad luck? Like something like mysterious, this element, plus hit reader with a real emotion and real scary stuff, such as my family is falling apart, like I don't want my parents, you know, to divorce. Something real scary that is that everyone pretty much can connect. I really like reading from every single character's perspective. I really like reading the family dynamics and see the same situation from different perspectives. I think it was really great. I highly recommend Stephen King to everyone. He is so great and accessible and terrifying. Yeah. The next book that I read is The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. I read this one for the prompt of herbology, which is really a book that starts with an M. And Agatha Christie, I keep coming back to her because I just love her writing. I love the way she just makes me wonder what is happening, who is the murderer, and that's good stuff. That old classic murder. Like, I love Agatha Christie for that. 4.5 out of 5 stars I gave this book. Not quite 5 stars. It's her first debut novel that she ever wrote, and it's a really strong one. I could see that she really thought it through, that she sat down and she was working on the concept and the story, all of the characters and their backstories and stuff. Like, she does that really well, that thought through mystery. I like that. It was just a little bit plain. I feel like the same layout, the same story, maybe even the same characters I read from Taken at the Flood. This just wasn't really anything boom, surprising, wow, amazing, but it was still really, really good. And I mean, 4 or 5 stars. The next fantastic book that I read this month was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Oh my goodness. It's a pretty much new book that came out in 2019 and people are just going around reading this book, getting excited about this book. It's a debut author, it's her first book that she ever wrote, and it's like a contemporary mystery thriller. I was hyping up this book for myself so badly and I wanted to love it so badly, and you know what? I did. This was incredible. This story follows this girl who decides to write her project, her paper, about a story that happened in her town. They believe that a boy killed his girlfriend and then committed a suicide. And she decides to write and investigate more into the story and find out the truth. What I really liked about Holly Jackson's writing is that every single chapter, something is happening. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. I read this book for Muggle Studies. And we're pretty much done talking about good books. So let's just go into what happened the second part of the month. The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I DNF'd this book, not gonna lie, not gonna make it a mystery. I couldn't finish this book. If you can see I marked some things. And you know that if you see the book being marked, it's a bad book. I don't annotate good books. But good books like this ones, they just fly. I don't have time to stop and annotate because there's so much going on. I like the book. I just wanna and if the book is bad, slow and boring, like I'm gonna sit and annotate because at least I can laugh about it. I think this book is poorly written and it's a bad book, and if you're offended already, hear me out. This is a story about this girl named Alice, and she and her mother was always moving places. They never stayed anywhere, and they finally come to this town. This girl Alice, she has a grandmother who she never met, but she heard that her grandmother is famous for writing fairy tale stories, and pretty much really creepy. But the thing is, she cannot get hold of the book and read the story, so she doesn't know what it's all about until one day some crazy stuff started happening to her. Yeah, I don't wanna, like, if you wanna read this book for fun or you're actually really interested in the plot, I'm not gonna say more. Go investigate, go read. What I didn't like about this book is not the story or the plot necessarily. I think the characters are plain and boring. There's nothing to them that would make me get excited. What I really didn't like about this book is the writing. I think the writing is so atrocious and just so overdone. I'm not sure if this is Melissa Albert's first book, but it feels like it. It feels like she was just pushing it so hard and try to be so interesting and different that she really just lose the reader. The reviews for this book isn't that good either. People are being really disappointed, and a lot of people actually DNF this book because this book gives you absolutely nothing. What I really hated about the writing is that metaphors just great. You'll understand, hear me out. Impatience made me run the final block home. Everything I needed to say to her expanded like helium in my chest. Apparently helium expanding in your chest, is that a feeling that anyone should relate to? Okay. The apartment was oppressively silent, a quiet that pressed against my eardrums. It swallowed my voice like black water. My skin felt keyed up and nervy. My skin felt nervy. Who speaks like that? Raise your hand. Okay, the next one is a good one. If somebody can tell me what the heck is wrong with Melissa Albert, please let me know. I kept imagining how it might feel to walk through someone else's space, tasting all the strange things you could do there. It made me hungry. Who else is walking through someone else's house or garage or garden and it's tasting all the strange things you can do in there? And who is getting hungry by thinking about those strange things you can do in there? And this is what, a perspective of like 16-year-old or something. What the heck? My stomach broke into pieces. It spun like a kaleidoscope. This is how spinning kaleidoscope looks like. Okay, the next one is a huge paragraph, so brace yourself. I'm gonna put it here. I was nearly 5 when I stepped onto the sidewalk, and New York was doing that perfect early evening thing where it plays itself. It makes you forget the trash piles and the $20 sandwiches and the time that guy showed you his dick on the F train just by etching his skyline in gold and throwing the scent of sugared pecans in your face, right as someone who looks like Leonardo DiCaprio slouches by mumbling into his iPhone. Cheap trick. Who can relate? Oh, people, if anyone is from New York, please let me know if you can relate. This is way too good. This is like bad fan fiction, not a good published book that everyone is so excited to read. Again, about her stomach. Apparently her stomach is what, you know, makes her feel, my stomach kicked like a rabbit. Here she is describing how she whispered. My voice was a skeleton leaf. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I don't know what's this freaking author's problem. But all of this happened before page 130. It might sound really bad and strong and rude, but I do not recommend this book to anyone. It's a 1 star. Do not waste your money and time on this book. I also not gonna ever pick up anything from Melissa Albert. I think that her writing is really bad and she has a lot to learn. Before I go into the book that you all saw and you all came here for, I'm gonna talk about Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. I read this one finally, yay! If it's your childhood favorite book, I'm really glad for you. I have a lot of weird childhood favorite books too, but me reading for the first time in my entire life as an adult, it was just... First of all, I know the main story of the Alice's Adventure in Wonderland book, however, is a whole nother story. It's so weird. So weird, and a lot of people try to overthink it. Maybe Alice has schizophrenia and stuff, and trust me, when you read this book, you think you have schizophrenia because of the crap that's happening in the book. I didn't enjoy this book at all. I mean, I probably was hit with a little bit of nostalgia, like in the first chapter of the book when, you know, Alice falls into the rabbit hole. That was fun, but after that, stuff just gets so weird, so unnecessarily absurd, and I think maybe a lot of people like that, but I don't. This is 2 out of 5 stars. You think you hate me yet? Okay, you wait. Oh yeah, by the way, if you still want to count this book, but I read this one for Care of Magical Creatures because it has a beak on the cover. And this one I read for 2 prompts. I know I can only read 1 book for 1 prompt, and I read this one to choose between what prompt it will fit in my career better. So I read this one either for Potions as a book under 150 pages or Transfiguration, or the book with some transfiguration in there. So the next book that I read is The Darker Shade of Magic by Victoria Schwab. Oh boy, unpopular opinions coming. You're watching it, you like Catherine, don't be mean. This is my favorite book. I hear ya. Trust me, my friend, I wanted to like this book so much, and I am so sad to tell you that I didn't like this book. I'm sorry. I said it, I didn't like this book. I don't get the hype. I really don't. For me, reading this book, again, I don't read a lot of fantasy. It's not because I don't like fantasies, because I don't think I will like fantasy, because every single fantasy that I read was just alright. I'm not finding something that I'm like blown my mind by, and this was not one of those. I was surprised by this book, of how mediocre and boring this book is. I kid you not, I tried to find at least 1 YouTube video of somebody talking bad about this book, and I couldn't, because everybody is pretty much saying, it's a good book, 4 stars. Let's talk about things that I liked. I really like the idea behind this book. A guy who can move between Londons, 4 pretty much different worlds, with different magic systems, with different like magic levels, with different people, with just different everything. It sounds so amazing and cool, and this is why I was drawn to this book. I think the idea was great. The execution was really poorly done. Like Agatha Christie or Girl Goes Guide to Murder or The Shining. Good books that the author took his or her time, sit down and work on the story and think through every detail, where the story gonna go and how it's gonna end. And maybe sometimes, as it happened in all of those books, the things will turn the way that you don't anticipate them. You don't expect them to go. This felt like the author, Victoria Schwab, has a great talent. She came up with this cool idea, and she really, instead of sitting down and working with the story, working with the plot, she just sat down and started typing whatever just came to her head. It felt so raw. It felt like a first draft, and I'm like, how is that a final book? And how people are going crazy about this book because it feels really raw. Characters were really bad. There was nothing good about any of them. The main character, Kel, felt so boring and so lame. He's just good, you know? Some people just good. It felt that she was trying to be like, but hey, he has this dark past when he killed somebody. And it doesn't make him any more interesting. He's just plain good character that was just poorly written. Another main character, what's her stupid name? Lila. Come on, like how you even can survive in this world being so two-dimensional, stupid, obnoxious woman. I don't understand. I see the talent with Victoria Schwab. I see that she has the potential, but like I like her writing, I like her prose. If you're interested, I picked this one book for Charms because it's white cover, and I know I'll be hated forever. Okay, the last book that I've completed this month is Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone. That's a huge book and heavy. Okay, if you don't know, I never really read Harry Potter as a young child. I watched all the movies and I really liked them, but I never really got into reading the books. And so this is my first time actually reading the physical book. During the magical readathon, this arrived at my door. I really liked the illustrations, and I thought some of the illustrations were really fun and exciting. And there, I found myself that there's a lot of things that are not like the movie. It's always really cool to read the actual story, the like original story that was written with the pictures and illustrations. It was a great experience. I found myself smiling a lot when I was reading this book because of like flashbacks it brings me back to watching all the movies. I read this for like either arithmetic, read the book outside of your favorite genre, which is fantasy, or also read a book about wizards or witches, which there are many of those. I would give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So again, really good. I really like this. So I looked at everything that I read, and it turns out I can pretty much do 7 different careers, which is broom maker, culinary sorcerer, herbologist, journalist or writer, magizoologist, and potioneer. I don't know which one out of the 6 to go with. And I'm not gonna choose right now. We're gonna see how the nude's gonna go, and then I'm gonna tell you what I decided to be. So here's my April wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next one. Bye!